You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we're back in the show. Welcome to the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. I have a special co-host today, doing a nice little cross promotion for the iCannabis family. We have Citezen Jay in the studio.
Hey, yo, everybody. It's great to be here, David. Yeah. Thanks for having me on THC.
So good to have you on, man. And you're doing Reefer Madness Radio on every Friday, 6:30 to 7:30.
That's right. Fridays from 6:30 to 7:30. You know, we wanted to get a 7:10 feature in there.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that 7:10 comes and goes really quick.
Really fast. You're going to have to set like a phone alarm or something, and then you're like, 7:10, great. And you got some new toys today.
I did.
You know, we were, we both attended the Champ Show. I was there on Tuesday. I haven't been able to go back because I was just too busy and kept wanting to get back and not able to make it. There's another conference going on I haven't been able to get to either.
Yep, there's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on in Denver.
There is, man.
We've really become kind of the hub for the cannabis world, if you will.
Yes, we have. Yeah,
People compare us to Amsterdam, which I think is funny because I think we've kind of gone beyond.
We've definitely surpassed it. Well, first of all, we legalized. They've only been decriminalized,
and they actually took a few steps back.
They've gone backwards, which is crazy to see that they're going backwards and everybody else is kind of moving ahead of it. But yeah, the Champ Show, for those of you who don't know, and it travels around the country, is like the show for business-to-business wholesaling of mostly glass and smokable products that, glass shops are going to buy.
A lot of artists show up there, and a lot of the large glass manufacturers show up there. Mm-hmm. I was surprised that I didn't see one in particular.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one would that be?
MGW, Manifest Glassworks, one of my favorites out of New York. Mm-hmm. And I was really sad not to see them here, to tell you the truth, because they're just one of my favorite products. But I did see a whole lot of glass blowers that I love, and I picked up some really fantastic deals for myself there.
So are you a glass collector?
I am. Yeah. It's actually kind of an addiction, if you will.
It is.
I really got into this about a little over a year ago. I started buying pieces for myself, and I think everyone's first entry into the glass world locally is probably Illusion Glass Galleries.
They're great. They are really great.
It's like going to a museum. And they've got some of the most amazing artists from around the country displaying their works there. And so I got introduced to glass that way, and I just kind of started collecting pieces. And more recently, since I opened my own little online glass shop, I've gotten to know a lot of the artists personally. And I try to concentrate myself in Colorado glass more than anything else, because I'm trying to represent,
Yeah, of course.
And so, anytime I can pick up Colorado glass makes me really happy. And today I got a Joel Halen piece, little Joel Halen oil rig, and I already have a honey hole from him that fits like a glove right in there. I've wanted a Halen piece for a long time. And I carry Halen on my site, so to actually have one is really
So now what is your site? I wasn't aware that, you kind of do, you're like me. I mean, I'm more focused doing a jack of all trades for the magazine, for the Hemp Connoisseur as a company, but you kind of are a jack of all trades for multiple, you're like everywhere.
I come at it from an outsider's perspective because although I've been a toker my whole life, I started smoking when I was 18 for real. Right, and my introduction was earlier at 14, but I didn't really get into it until I went to college at 18, right? So, the thing about Citezen Jay is that I'm a business owner and a homeowner. I'm in my mid-40s. I'm a father, and a good one at that, right? It's really important to me. And I also use cannabis on a regular basis, right? I use it for medical reasons, and I use it for recreational reasons, and I have for a long time.
Well, I love the way you say that, though, because I think so often in this industry, if you're in this industry, they look at you as a cannabis smoker first, and most people, especially in our age bracket, I'm now 40 years old too, and we look at it like, and soon to be a father.
Right so on, I'm kind of
right on. So I'm entering into that realm. But even before then, it was like, well, I do this, I do this, I do this. Yes, I am a cannabis smoker on top of all those things. It just happens. It's you don't define yourself as a smoker. It's just part of who you are.
It's part of who I am. I'm an archaeologist. I own my own consulting firm, right? And I do pretty well as a business owner. And I'm proud of the work that I do. I went to school and I worked for a lot of years to gain the position that I've gained. I own the company, I run the show. And so for me, cannabis is something that comes after that, right? First and foremost, I'm an archaeologist, and I'm a father, and I'm a husband, and I'm a homeowner, right? The cannabis is something that enhances my life. It's not it's not the center of my life, although
Right.
my wife might beg to differ at times.
Well, as would mine, just because, I mean, this is the industry we're in, but that's like saying, I mean, if I was in the alcohol industry, it would be the same kind of thing. I wouldn't be drinking like I smoke, probably
Right.
because I don't like to drink really personally. But that's what your business is, and that's going to define you. It's just more fun not to define you, but to consume you sometimes. And it's kind of more fun to be consumed in this industry.
Yeah,
than
because
in,
the consumables are so amazing.
So much more
Yeah,
fun.
so amazing.
It really is. I mean, I like to, every once in a while, I just have to pause and say, dude, I do have one of the best jobs in the world.
It really is. So I came to become Citezen Jay, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Last winter, I was bored. As an archaeologist, when the snows come, there's just not a lot of work going around. So wintertime, I needed a creative outlet. And so I started Citezen Jay as a YouTube channel. And for the longest time, I never showed my face because I was afraid that my clients would fire me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I decided to just not be afraid anymore. Right?
Well, I think good for you. And I think that's how I am as well. I know there are still good friends of ours in the industry and others that are still a little cannabis shy.
It's a scary thing.
It is. It's kind of there is a closet. There's a cannabis closet,
Yeah.
There really is. And like most of us are out of it now, and it's easier to be out of it now with legalization. But I mean, I think that there's still a large amount of people that are worried about the stigma that might come along with that, especially parents. And whenever a parent does come out and say, look, I'm not going to hide this about who I am, I actually applaud them every time for the bravery. Because there is that little bit of fear that,
But we shouldn't have it. We don't hide our booze. We don't
Exactly.
hide our ibuprofen.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And the
agree.
thing is, it's such a stigma. And it's been demonized over the course of the last 75 years or so. And it's just not a good thing.
Well, and there's so many, so often, and I love that your show is called Reefer Madness because it's still prevalent in today's society.
A lot of people were upset that we chose that name. They wanted us to come up with, a more friendly name. But the reason we settled on Reefer Madness Radio was because we wanted to co-opt the term. We wanted to take it back.
Take it back.
Right? It is madness that there's prohibition of cannabis.
Yes.
That's what Reefer Madness is really all about.
I absolutely agree. I mean, and I saw a little bit of Reefer Madness. I was just reading a story. Canada has just come out with their national rules for the legalization of cannabis as far as the medical side. They've just shifted them. So now in Canada, you're no longer allowed to grow your own. It is going to be like licensed designated growers that will be able to do it, and it's going to be a mail order.
What?
Yeah.
You can get delivery here.
You're not supposed
tried
to.
it myself.
You're not actually supposed to get delivery here yet.
But mail order?
Mail order.
I guess if it's coming right from the government, maybe.
But it's not exactly coming right from the government, from my understanding, and I haven't had a chance to read. This was just a quick summary article on that. So I haven't had a chance to really delve into the ins and outs of this bill that's just been passed. But from what I read about it so far, it's saying, okay, we're gonna allow medical consumption of cannabis. You can have your license to get it. You no longer can grow. So all these people who've invested money, first of all, in growing their own medicine, is been taken away, which I think is messed up. Because once you're able to do that, I mean, that to me, I'm now I even said this to Chris earlier. I'm like, how stupid is that? Would you ever buy a mail order tomato?
No, but I might tobacco.
Tobacco.
A little Simpsons
You might try
reference.
some tobacco, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, to mail order cannabis, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's going to
What
be
about
sealed.
freshness?
What about freshness?
What about quality control? Here in
What
Colorado,
about choice?
That's a good point too.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that we've become kind of spoiled. I mean, when it comes to choice, we have an amazing choice, just like they do in California and other states have legalized it medically.
Actually, I think we have it a little bit better here because our shops are a little bit more professionalized.
Yes.
And so is our grow productions. So there's a lot less gray area in Colorado when it comes to growing.
Agreed.
And so our growers can really pay attention. They can test their cannabis to make sure it's free of molds and mildews and mites. And
Well, there's more of a point of pride, and I'm not trying to knock the California system. I mean, I've gotten to see. I got to see Harborside Wellness, and it's a beautiful center, and I think it's an amazing operation they have there. But I think it's just the fact of the way, the cultivation is run in California, just from an outside observer coming in and seeing that, okay, well, you're buying product from all these growers. Yes, you may trust those growers, but their name is not on the bud.
Yep.
And that's the difference is we're vertically integrated. So if you're buying, I mean, yes, there's wholesale going on here, but still 70% of your product has to be vertically integrated, meaning you
and
grow
no one's
your own.
going to buy your wholesale product unless it's really good. And there are
Exactly.
several dispensaries around town that have that good bud,
Yes.
and they spread it around. And the growers that put their stuff out there. That's a nice thing. We can still have the small boutique grower.
Yeah. Well, and knowing where it came from to me is important. It really is. And so I think that's what we have a benefit on. And you talk about mail ordering it now from Canada, and it's like, really, I don't get to smell it. I don't get to see. I mean, you can show me a picture of the harvest maybe, but I'm pretty sure if it's going to be run on that kind of a scale, you're not even going to see each harvest picture.
That's a really good point, David, because you're going to sneeze there, Chris.
Scratch and Sniff magazine.
Here you go.
Scratch and Sniff magazine.
The catalog.
Here you go.
I really, as Citezen Jay, I go into dispensaries and I review them. Now I make it a point not to do anything negative as Citezen Jay. I don't actually do reviews. I do showcasing. If I go into a dispensary and I like what I see, they're going to get airtime from me. If I go into a place and I don't like what I see or I don't like the way I'm treated, then they just don't get spoken about on my show.
I love that you say that. That's exactly what we do with a magazine and reviews. Now, we don't review strains, and we actually have a philosophy behind the strain review that some people have questioned why we don't do that. But my thing is, well, reviewing one strain for that harvest, by the time you were ready to try that product, it's already gone. So my review can be almost moot. Now, yes, over time, the review is really talking about the quality of the growers. And I think that's, to me, is what it needs to. It would be.
I think people like, just to put this out there, Dave. I think people like the feature. I don't do cannabis reviews for a very simple reason. I am not a grower.
Yes.
I know nothing of the genetics, and I know a little bit about the strains and what they're good for. And I've done some research, and I can identify certain strains by their taste and smell and things like that.
Sure.
You can maybe call me a connoisseur,
right,
but you cannot call me an expert. And there are a lot of people out there who do reviews on cannabis. I don't mind telling you how great it is, right? But to me, a review is a critical evaluation. I'm a scientist, right? I went to graduate school. To me, a review is a critical evaluation, and I just don't feel qualified personally to do that as a geneticist. If I watch a lot of reviews, right? Because I'm a YouTuber. I watch YouTube. So most of the reviews that I see, I think, are kind of useless, right? A lot of the flavor and smell characteristics, I think, are idiosyncratic. And when you listen to people who say they know what they're talking about, well, for them they do, but not necessarily for you. Sure. So I try to kind of shy away from doing that kind of review and stay more along the lines of, its quality, its flavor, how it looks, its density, and the things that I can really talk about as a consumer. Right. And as a consumer, that's what I do. I'm not owned by any dispensary, although I do have a close relationship with the clinic. Right. I'm not constrained to one dispensary and their particular product.
Well, and we chose not to do strain reviews for a couple of reasons. For the first reason I mentioned earlier. The other reason is obviously we're ad driven as a company, as a magazine. We're free publication. So we noticed that when bad reviews were given to other dispensaries, they would not advertise with the Westward, say, for a while because they felt jilted.
Right, they get mad.
So we decided to go with a philosophy, if you don't have something good to say, hey, then don't say it. Right. And I like that, the idea of a showcase, because what we generally do is we'll review edibles, we'll review concentrates, because those seem to be not as reviewed as much as the strains do on a regular basis. Concentrates are obviously coming back up now.
Yeah.
Are really coming on strong now.
I love doing the edible showcase. That's just fantastic.
And we love doing that too. And so when I would review them, or when any of my reviewers did, if it was a bad review, we would send it back to they don't even pay for our reviews, so that's one of the other things is we don't charge for them.
Right.
I know. Others do. But so we're not taking their money, but we'll say, look, this is our review of your product, and it's not good.
Give them a chance to kind of defend it before you publish it.
So give you a chance to defend it before we publish it. And here's the other thing that we'll talk to them and say, look, we won't put this in print if you don't want us to, but now we're not going to review another product of yours for a while, because you need to showcase, or you need to show us that you're really putting an effort in improving what we've reviewed you about.
Right on.
So sometimes we'll do that, or we'll give them a chance to say maybe that was a bad product. But my thought is, look, if it's not good and we don't like it, we're going to tell you why we don't like it. But we're going to now it's a criticism to you as a company not to put it out there because it's such a new industry. These guys are still working out kinks.
Yep, they are.
And let's give them time. It's not like they've been in business for 10 years now and are able to, like, if you don't have it down then, yeah, fine. But like a lot of these guys are 1-year-old, 2-year-old companies just trying to get it going right now.
Mostly I find that if the dispensary's heart is in it, then they're going to produce good bud.
Yeah.
Right. And like I say, if I go into a place and I find good bud and a great attitude, then I like to showcase the bud and talk about how great it was and give people an opportunity to maybe go there and try it for themselves, right? Because that's the fun part of it, and that's what Citezen Jay started doing. I also like to go into glass shops because as someone who owns now close to 45 pieces of glass. And now I'm just talking about rigs, right? I'm not talking about my pipes.
Wow. Well, let's go into that more. We have to go on a break real quick, and you know how that goes.
I do.
So we'll be back in just a moment with Citezen Jay from Reefer Madness.
The Law Office of Edson Maton and Matz provides criminal defense, family law, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running a medical marijuana center, optional premises cultivation operation, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout the state of Colorado. We're focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. WarrenEdson.com. Edson Maton and Matz in Denver, 303-831-8188, and in Aspen, 970-948-7183. WarrenEdson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On Grass. Runongrass.com.
National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
That's kind of cool.
I saw Sam today.
Okay, so we're back, and I didn't even mention why Citizen Jay is in here. He's kind of being Samantha, the lovely Miss Samantha Walsh's proxy, which is kind of giving me a break because usually I'm just having to deal with all the shit she's giving me, busted on me the whole time, and now I have somebody else who's got a little. He's nicer. He's nicer. I think that's what it is.
I've been accused of that many times, of being a nice person. I can't help it. The only person who doesn't accuse me of that is my daughter, hey.
Oh, well. But that's your job.
It is.
But,
she almost came today, actually, because...
Did she?
I thought I was going to have to pick her up from school and bring her along today, but my wife texted me at the very last minute.
She had it. How old's your daughter?
She just turned 8.
Wow.
She's amazing. I call her Citizen H.
Citizen H.
And my wife is Citizen K.
That's awesome.
And they don't make an appearance on my show per se, but I talk about them and... I put a little blurb on my website about Hannah, Citizen H.
That's great.
And some artwork up there of hers.
Cool. Well, and you saw Sam today, Samantha. You did see her today because this is the reason why she wasn't here.
I probably did. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said you did. I'm sorry.
I saw a different Sam.
Oh, okay. Different Sam.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was a misunderstanding.
Got it.
I did see a lot of people down there that I know, including Paul Token was down there today. And I
got
to hang out with him a little bit. Yeah,
he's a great
one of
guy.
my good friends.
Yeah, we've had him on the show before. He's a lot of fun.
He is. He's a lot of fun.
I like catching. I don't catch his thing every day. I usually catch maybe once a week or so. I haven't seen his. I haven't gone on the Token Daily for a little while now. You remind me.
I have a confession to make, and that is that I watch Token Daily every single day.
I think that's great.
Right? Paul Token is not only a friend of mine now, but he's one of the people that influenced me to start my show. I was just watching all these YouTubers, and I thought to myself, that looks like fun. I'd love to get into the scene. I bet I could do that too. Mm-hmm. And I started to do it and do my own kind of thing. And then I got to meet these people. And it turns out, it's really funny, David, these YouTubers that are really popular all live within like a 1 mile radius of each other.
yeah.
So I'm talking about Paul and Dan Red Band and his brother Mark, the guy that could fly, and Dane Euler from CRTV, and me and Colorado Diesel Man, and or it's Colorado Sour Diesel Man, sorry. And hi, I'm Curtis, right? So all the 7 YouTubers, all within a 1 mile
So
radius.
what do you do on your YouTube show?
You know what? You know, it's just a talking format, me by myself. If I have some place to go, like Champs, today I took a huge montage of video, so I'm going to show people a little bit of the show. But generally, I pick 1 or 3 topics to go over during my show. They're always positive. I might, if I have something that I need to get off my chest, like a political thing, I'll do a different kind of show that I call Up Close.
Gotcha.
Right, and so I have a couple different formats. You know, I have a raw format. If I don't do any editing, I don't monetize those videos. Right, I figure the only videos I monetize are the ones that I actually put work into, and I don't think people understand. It takes me on average about 3 hours a day to do my show, to do it and to edit it and to get it all rendered and posted. You know,
How do you find you guys? How do you find you on YouTube? Sorry, Citizen Jay.
it's Citezen Jay 420 on YouTube.
Citizen Jay.
Real easy.
It's just the letter or Jay?
Jay. Thank you very much. Citizen Jay 420. And you know what? You can always find my videos on my own website, which is www.mountainhighcolorado.co for Colorado.
Mountain High spelled out.
Yep, Mountain High, spelled out, all one word, Mountain High, Colorado, which is a place that I'm working on developing. It's probably a few years out still, but we have a property sandwiched between the Wet Mountains and the Sangre de Cristo Mountains.
Ooh, that's a nice area.
Oh, yeah, down by Cotopaxi and the Royal Gorge.
You gonna make it out of Hemp? I got to put him on the spot.
I might.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do is I want to put up 6 platforms for really nice wall tents and offer people the opportunity to have a true Colorado adventure, because the property sits against 20 miles of BLM wilderness, right? So this isn't an all-inclusive kind of thing. This is for people who want a backcountry experience.
So they do want to camp. I mean,
It's for
they're
camping.
bringing their own tents and all that.
Well,
Or are you talking about like
premium
yurts kind of thing?
The premium tents, I'll have 6 premium tents. They'll be walled tents, not
Right.
yurts, but on platforms with beds and a table. And the kicker about Mountain High is that there's a glass shop associated with it. So if you're coming from out of Colorado, you can order your glass and your adventure while you're there. So I'll pick you up at the airport. I'll bring you out to the resort. Your piece will be waiting for you with something to go in it from your personal friend, Citizen Jay, right? Because that's how it's legal.
Sure.
And when you go home, you'll get to take a brand new piece in a box. To
I
go
love
with
it.
you.
You know what? 420 tourism has so much potential
Yeah.
in this state. It's going to be kind of ridiculous, and I think I'm so excited to hear everybody coming out with these thoughts and everything. And I'm already talking about. I mean, we'd love to be able to get like a nice big tract of land, you know, and do a whole like hemp like experience for everybody, but also on
Right
top,
on.
you know. And so we've been talking about doing that, the hemp hotel.
Oh, yeah. I've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
What we really need is a B&B right here in Denver.
Yep. Bud and breakfast.
That's right. That's right. And I would, you know, if I had a property here in town, it would be open right now. I have the property out in the wilderness. I'm waiting for I'm getting the funds together to build it.
Right.
You know, because it's gonna need some building. For
Oh,
sure.
of course. Well, cool. So what else you have coming up on this horizon? I know you had a, Champs was cool. There was a lot of cool people there.
I would really love to talk about Champs because I had such a great time. And I had the opportunity to go for all 3 days, although I had to leave early because I had to pick up my daughter from school.
Right.
But I got there every day, and I got to see all of the people that I've met over the course of the last year in the industry from all over the country. You know, they're all here for this big conference, and it's really great. You know, so not only do I get to hobnob with the local celebrities, I consider them celebrities. The people like Daniel Desai, Ewok, and Joel Halen, right? The guys who blow the glass. Matthew's known as Lunchbox. Lunchbox, that's the only art rig I own is made by Lunchbox. You know, I have 40-some pieces at home, and only one of them has real color and shape to
Right,
it, and
right.
that's a Lunchbox piece. You know, What can I say? I've been in Colorado for close to 20 years. I've made it my home, and I love it here. So I'm trying to really do it up Colorado style, and that's what Mountain High Colorado is all about. It's about experiencing the Rocky Mountain High, right? And that place, it's at 8,200 feet. It's surrounded by white-capped mountains, even in the summertime. It's truly remarkable.
Very cool. So Champs.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I love it. No, we all have to wrangle each other back in on this show all the time, and we all take turns. It's kind of a partnership thing. So one of the things I was impressed with personally, because I'm not a glass aficionado like yourself, and partially I think is maybe, I used to be, but then I had all these glass rigs, and like I always lived in really small spaces because I don't like to live in a big place. I actually love the coziness of a small house, but then I also live very economically, in the fact that like, and I don't necessarily just mean cheaply. What I mean is like I learned to live much more Spartan-esque.
Right on.
And I like that, but like, so because of that, I've never personally been a collector. Although now, lately, and after Champs, I was like, okay, yeah, I want one of those. I want one of those. And, so I really was impressed because I took the time now finally to really look at the glass. And
there are a lot of amazing artists out there. And that's the thing. There's like two categories of glass as far as I'm concerned. There's the scientific and the art heady pieces.
Well, and I heard that term before. Soft glass is more the artistic piece.
Oh, okay, sure, soft glass.
And I'd never heard that term before, actually, so I didn't know if I was kind of if that was a new terminology or if I was just a moron. But they said soft glass is obviously when they're blowing it by everything's by hand for the most part.
Right, as opposed to working on a lathe.
Exactly. And that's it. And he said the hard glass is okay. These are usually like form fitting. Like I'm assuming this is obviously hard glass because it's so perfect.
Oh yeah, that's a Hitman piece. I've wanted a Hitman piece because they're Hitman. Dougie's probably the hottest glass celebrity there is right now.
He's got. I was very impressed with the built-in torch one, and I know I forget the name of it. You probably know the name of it.
No, I don't know the name of it. I forget the name of it.
I'm sorry. That's super impressive.
It is. It's really impressive.
Because that was one of my bigger complaints, and I'm not a dabber personally anyway, but like even if even when I was dabbing, I was like, God, you got to have this torch, you got to do all this. And I'm like, why can't it just be simple like the good old days? But that's kind of like how I felt being little on the old school. And then when he pulled something like that out, I was like, okay.
It's all in one.
I was like, that's all in one. That's the way it should be. Perfect.
You know what? Honestly, I love all the gadgets.
Yeah.
I'm a gadget guy it's just the way I've always been. I really like all the little pieces. So, and for me, the ritual involved in doing it all is important. So, like having the dome and the nail and everything. There's so many different aspects to enjoying one's cannabis.
Yes.
And when you've been smoking as long as I have, and you've gotten to experience it on so many different levels, and I'm not just talking about the technology involved, but the places that I've gotten to do it and the people I've gotten to do it with, it really, it's a whole culture. It's something you really can immerse yourself in. As a collector, I didn't start out that way. I think I just kind of got a little crazy. And
I think everybody does. I think it's like tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like once you have like 2-3 pieces, you can't stop. Then because I actually am like that, and we have to go on a break. But I'm kind of, here's my thing now. I want to have like at home because I still like to smoke just a little in a bowl, but sometimes there's a little bit left over, because
Sure.
I don't smoke all. I'm not a clean plate club anymore. I used to be. I used to be part of the clean plate club. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But now it's like, no, I smoke to where I want to be. And so, but sometimes I'm like, wait, what did I put in that bowl before? So now I want to literally have an indica, a hybrid, and a sativa bowl, so that I know when whatever's in that bowl is at least this type of
Right
strain.
on. Dedicated. Yeah.
So I don't confuse them because
Right
I've
on.
done that where I pick one up and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a sativa I put in there. I got to get some stuff done. Great, I'm good. And then I take a hit off and I'm like, oh no, that was that heavy kush I had last night.
Yeah.
And it's like that was not the approach I was looking for. So I am like looking at that now. I'm like, well then, I have to like. Yeah, I want to maintain like knowing exactly what I have.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
So we got to go on a break. We'll be back in just a moment with Citezen Jay.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
So, yeah. Well, all right, so we're back, and you pulled. We talking about champs and all the amazing artists, and you pulled out a couple of bowls here.
I do. I can't help it.
Does the camera? Can you see these on the camera? Right here. So this one is this green one. These are both Colorado artists.
Yeah, these are Colorado artists, and you know what? I'm a little remiss for remembering everybody's name. Troy did that one. I don't remember Troy's last name.
Okay, the green one. Troy did that one.
Yeah, and
beautiful. I love the coloring on that.
Nigel, that's who blew that one. Nigel blew the big one. The amazing thing is when you're a buyer like I am, and you go to the show, you can pick up some amazing deals, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
And on the last day is when you pick up the stuff.
And
for
today
sale.
was the last day, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a bummer because I wanted to go today because I knew this was the best day.
Yep.
You know what?
A lot of things sell out so quick.
I will say this: I was eyeing one, and he wasn't a Colorado guy.
That's okay.
I know, but he had something very unique. He was doing the stackables. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Were they glass?
Yeah.
Was it the Illadelph?
I don't know. He was near the front. I forget, but like he had, he was like a mix and match. What type of
Yeah, there are a few companies that do that.
All right, so I saw one that he just stuck out, and I was like, wow. And he had a gel inside.
That's Illadelph.
That's Illadelph then, yeah. Because And I was like, okay, yeah, I totally want that. I want the Helio one where the smoke is coming all spinning up, and then it goes through this gel that stays
beautiful.
Nice and cool.
Illadelph, I believe, is an East Coast company. I'm not positive, but it seems to me they're from Philadelphia.
yeah, exactly.
They are some of the most premier glass on the market. And you can find them here in town at Illusion Glass Galleries for sure has Illadelph. I'm not sure if anybody
But not
else
at the
does.
pricing you could have gotten at Champs today.
True enough. The thing is you're buying wholesale, and then sometimes you get a deal off of that.
Well, exactly. Well, this is one of the things there's a lot of perks to being in this industry, and there's definitely a lot of perks to having a magazine or being a reporter or somebody who does reviews. And I do like to take advantage of that perk because we do want to review their product. So we're going to be like, look, man, I really want to review this product. And yes, honestly, I will buy it if they don't give it to us for review just because I want it that bad. But at the same point, if they gave it to us, then we'll review them.
You know what? I give a showcase to pieces whether I have to buy them or not.
Right.
But sometimes I'm lucky enough to be given pieces, and that is really special on a lot of levels.
It is.
When someone, I'll tell you what, this piece right here, for example, this is I'll show this in the camera maybe. This is beer glass, right? It's just a little pendant rig rather from beer, and I got to meet him at the 710 Cup, and when I told him about Mountain High, he was like, I really want to come there, and he gave this to me, as like, here, man, let's be friends, and there's nothing that can be better than that. I'm telling you, it's just such a fulfilling thing. I have another piece here that's similar. This is a Coley glass piece. Coley is actually one of my good friends here in town. He's a young glass blower. They're doing some incredible stuff, and he doesn't sell this. He made this just for fun, right? It's a tiny little bubbler. He made it for fun, and he gave it to me as a gift because he knows I love this kind of stuff, right? And it's the perks like that. I got into this industry. I didn't know that I'd be able to, frankly, take advantage of that. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to. For example, I have an actual press pass, right, from the Daily Doobie.
Right.
It's like a legal document,
right?
It has my full name on it. I can use this to actually get in to see the governor if I wanted to in 6 months or so, like anybody else could. But the point is that Well, the point is that I forgot my point, David. This is really what the point is.
That's okay.
No, the point is that I could take advantage, like, of this press pass.
Sure.
Like I'm covering the Secret Cup for the Daily Doobie, right? And Daniel Desay is a friend of mine, so when I talked to him about getting a ticket for the event, he's like, "You don't need a ticket; you can just come as press." And I'm like, "That's all well and good, thank you very much, but I'd rather buy a ticket." Because to me, that's supporting the industry.
Sure,
and it's funny because Daniel's like, "Oh, man, it's just going into my pocket ultimately." I'm like, "But Daniel, you're having
put this
vendors.
on. You put this on.
And you're putting that money out to the community. And you're like, this money is getting shared around."
No. And it's the same for us. Like, I'll go into dispensaries and sometimes they try to just throw the house at me. And I'm like, no. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because your company, first of all, supports me, my company. I'm going to support your company. And that's just the way, to me, it should be. And
exactly. We're all in this together and we can help each other out. There's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition. Yes. But there's, competition doesn't have to be cutthroat, and there's no reason to be a dick.
No, we've always, and that's the thing is, between the Daily Doobie and the Hemp Connoisseur,
we're really close.
We've always been very friendly and close. I mean, I think, to me, there should be a little bit of, there's more strength in numbers, especially when it comes to media side right now. Yep. I think, as you've seen in the past few months since 64 passed, a lot of other publications have tried to come in and kind of muscle in on our home.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the national magazines, and there's
it's like
new magazines popping up right and left.
But they pop up right and left, and then they go away pretty quickly. Because right now, it's you guys, it's us. I mean, it's the Daily Doobie, it's the Hemp Connoisseur, it's Culture Magazine.
Yeah,
and then
we're the stalwarts here. But, I'm going to knock on some wood because the Daily Doobie is coming up on a year, right? It's a young enterprise. I'm lucky enough to have been with it almost from the get-go.
What will be the year?
January makes a year.
See, November will be 2 years for us. Since the first publication, so congratulations! I do. The first year is absolutely the hardest.
It is, and it's been a struggle. And I'm proud to say that Bruce Daly told me recently that the paper is finally in the black.
Yes,
which is really
awesome.
good to know. But we're still in that stage where we need more. We're always looking for good people. We need more supporters, and we'd like to be just a little bit bigger.
Right. Oh, yeah, everybody. I mean, it's always like, how many more pages can I get? Can I get a few more? We're right. Personally, we're at a very consistent page count at 68 pages.
It's a good size.
And
the
that's
Hemp Connoisseur is a pleasure to read.
Thank you. And I love the Daily Doobie. I do. It just it makes me smile every time I see it because I love the newspaper quality. I mean, I love that there is a newspaper rag out there for the industry.
That's what it's all about. It's about that. Well, two things. One, the journalism that comes with being an actual newspaper, and two, it's that tactile feeling of having that old newspaper.
I love
print,
newspapers. I do. In fact, I kind of am jealous. I wish I actually did the newspaper thing or before you guys got into it. Now I would never even dream of touching that. But it was like, wow, I mean, I could have done that as well at the time. Yep. But I'm glad that you guys are doing it. I really am. And
it's a total blast. I feel fun, privileged that I get to write for the Daily Doobie. Like I just lucked into it. I sent Bruce. I met him on Facebook, and I sent him a story that was 8 pages long, and he said, "I love it. Make it a page."
Make it a page. That totally sounds like me. They're like, yeah, we think we're going to submit this story for 1,000 words. I'm like, yeah, make it 4.
Yeah.
400.
Yeah, people don't understand. I get asked this all the time. Like, how do I break in? How do I write for the Daily Doobie? We get submissions all the time.
We're
looking for them. We were always looking for good writers. This is what I tell people. You have 420 words. Pick a topic, have a thesis, back it up, and come to a conclusion.
We're the same way. And it's funny how many people, though, do it's kind of like the American Idol thing, I guess. You get way more bad ones than you get good ones.
Right.
And it's funny because to me it is a job interview when you send us a submission and people will send it and they'll be like, and I'm like, did you edit this at all?
That's a good tip. Look at you. I write for a living as an archaeologist, okay? When I went back to school to become an archaeologist, I happened to be lucky to be married to a professional editor and a lawyer. And my wife really gave me a lot of good points in writing, and she taught me how to write. The most important thing is to have a good editor, right? It's really as simple as that. I never turned in a single paper without having a peer look at it, right? If I had someone in the class who I trusted their work, then I'd have them look at my paper. Yep. And I do it, if you work for a company, there are editors. I do it today. You know, I don't publish anything, or even in the gray literature that I write, I don't do any reports without having them edited.
Yeah.
It's just
There's
unprofessional.
for us, there's at least 3 sets of eyes that look at every single piece, and we look at it multiple times.
My best friend in the world happens to teach writing in New Paltz down in New Zealand. He told me a long time ago that there's no such thing as good writing. There is only good rewriting, right? And it's so true.
Right.
And I think that's true on any level, no matter whether you're writing for school, doing a report, or for academia, or for the government is who I write for mostly.
I find it to be a lost art, though. I really do. I mean, I think that and I find myself being guilty of this sometimes now with the advent of text and typing.
Well, that's the thing. Language is a fluid thing, and it's always evolving, right? And the technology is always evolving too. So yes, the art of writing is changing, and it's different. Look, you don't see anybody writing like Shakespeare anymore.
No, you don't.
Back in the day, a lot of people did. And even if you look at like old letters, as an historian, I can tell you, if you go into an archives and you look at just day-to-day correspondence, the way people wrote 100 years ago, 50 years ago versus today, it's very different.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned Shakespeare, because I'm actually a huge fan of Shakespeare. I was classically trained as an actor and everything. And one of the things Shakespeare actually invented words. He invented something like 3,000 words over his lifespan.
And true wordsmith.
He was a wordsmith. He was. And the reason why was because he wrote in that iambic pentameter, and by giving himself that limitation, if there was a word that didn't work with the rhythm, he created a word that essentially had the same definition, and people understood it had that definition just from the word, but it just fit into there, and all of a sudden it became better.
And that's the essential point right there, that people understood it. Right? You mentioned texting, right? Have you ever seen one of those things on Facebook where they jumble up all the words?
Yes.
I mean, all the letters in every word, and you can still read it.
Yeah.
And they pretend that only 5% of people can, but everybody can read that, Yeah. It's because language is so fluid. It's because we're human beings, and our cultures are always evolving. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see text poetry coming into some kind of real thing. I mean, look at E.E. Cummings, right? I mean, look what E.E. Cummings did back in the 30s through the 50s, right? He totally redefined literature.
True.
Right? And so it happens. What can I say?
It does happen. It does happen. What a fascinating day to have a conversation. We're veering into poetry.
Right, from champs to poetry.
From champs to poetry.
Because all this glass is it's liquid turns solid. It's poetry. Right? It's all poetry.
Look at that. Way to tie that back up. See, that's a professional radio guy right there. And speaking of radio, we do have to take a break. So we'll be back for a final segment with Citezen Jay.
Call Connoisseur at 1-800-420-5757 for all your insurance needs. Connoisseur understands the risks you face each day, and we are there to protect your business and your investment. Since 2010, Connoisseur has been serving the cannabis industry nationwide. Call Connoisseur at 1-800-420-5757 or visit us on the web at connoisseur.com to learn more about our insurance and risk management services. Proud member of the NCIA.
Cannapunch is a delicious and effective medical marijuana beverage proudly made right here in Colorado. Each bottle is freshly infused with 100% pure flower extract from the highest grade marijuana plants available today. Using proprietary extraction methods, every bottle of Cannapunch is consistently and reliably infused with an exact milligram dosage that you can count on to relieve your symptoms each and every time. Cannapunch is delicious. There's never any medicine-y taste. We use only 100% cannabis flowers. No trim or byproducts are ever used in Cannapunch. It does not require refrigeration and comes in convenient, resealable multi-dose bottles from 60 milligrams to 200 milligrams. We have drinks with dosage that works best for you. Cannapunch is available in a variety of delicious flavors like black cherry, watermelon, pineapple mango, and blue raspberry. And we now have strain-specific beverages available just for you. Cannapunch is delicious, convenient, consistent, and effective. Give it a try and experience the Cannapunch difference.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
All right, we're back, and in the studio with me. For those of you, well, come on, you're listening to a recording, so I don't have to tell you who you're listening to. I should stop doing it. I do that because I listen to the real radio, like not real radio, you know what I mean, like talk radio.
I pretend that we're on live radio.
We are on live radio. That's true. We are on live radio right now. So, hey, if you're just joining us, we have Citezen Jay on.
Hey-yo.
One of our fellow family members from iCannabis Radio. He has Reefer Madness show on 6:30 to 7:30 every Friday.
You know what? I'm really enjoying being a member of the iCannabis Radio family.
It's a fun family, man. I mean, it really is. It's a good group. It's, I think...
I'm always looking for a way to have more impact and to get more involved.
Right.
I mean, like, seriously, what can I do for the industry? Well, I can be a good example. That's really all I can be. I'm a good spokesperson. I can be a good example. But I just really enjoy having another outlet.
Right.
And it's not only just a platform for me, but it's an opportunity to get to know more people in the industry and make lasting and meaningful relationships.
It really is. It's one of those things that, like, look, there's always going to be people that are, any industry, especially like, the cannabis industry, we're kind of like a small town. Where, you might...
Everybody knows everybody else at some level.
At some level. Either you know of some person and you haven't been able to cross paths, or you've known them. And, like you and I, we've crossed paths a few times, but we finally got to really have a conversation.
This week.
Right. And that's not counting today, but after the conversation, I was like, please come on and let's let's shoot the shit on the radio show.
I will take every opportunity to talk on the radio.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just fun.
It is.
This is actually the fun. Talk about language. This is the funnest hour of my week, kind of. As far as my work week, I should say.
Yeah, I look
really
forward
is.
to it, and I put we obviously put a little work into it. Mark and I, we've had 3 whole shows. We're just starting out, and but we've come up with a structure, and we're trying to stick to it. We're tweaking it and trying to improve it every week.
My structure has changed over and over again now, hasn't it, Chris? To the point where it doesn't have as much structure as it used to. And Sam came on telling me she was going to come on and give me structure. Didn't she say that? He's nodding. He's just like, yep, she did say that. Yep. And she's done nothing but destroy that structure since she got here. But it's actually become more fun.
It's only an hour.
It's only an hour.
It goes by so quickly, and it's really hard to stick to your schedule.
It is.
Like, you know what? I put a little clock up so I can keep track of the time.
It flies, though.
It does. It just flies.
It does, though. So we've talked about eventually expanding to 2 hours. Yep. We like to, the whole initial structure of the radio show was we're going to talk about hemp and we're going to talk about marijuana. Now, obviously, more topics tend to pop up in Colorado here that are,
we're relevant. In the hub.
So, it's going to be marijuana more. Not that, but hemp is incredibly relevant here too.
Right, we just had our first harvest.
Exactly, it's huge.
70
so
years.
we were like, God, we keep doing this because it's more of a contentious issue when you talk about the marijuana side of things and everything that's going on there. So we're like, well, we need to do 2 hours. We need to have 1 hour just for hemp and then 1 hour for cannabis. But then there's also I want to have the 1 hour that the show's kind of been which is like the fun, like, hey, we're just I'm hanging out with a friend in the radio, and we're just talking, and those end up being some of the more interesting hours.
Yep. Well, dialogue is something that I think is really important. There are 3 themes that that I try to get back to on my show, on my YouTube channel. And I don't do them every day because I'm trying to, not to hit people over the head with a hammer. But the 3 things I talk about are dialogue, right? Community, and momentum, right? And the 3 of them work so well together because they're kind of interdependent. It starts with dialogue, which builds your community, right? And then once your community is together and you're continuing the dialogue, you gain momentum. And once that momentum starts, it's really hard to stop it.
Yeah.
And Colorado is a perfect example of how that happened. Mm-hmm. And now we have the opportunity to get the rest of the country to follow suit, right? So let's open that dialogue, get that going, talk to as many people as you can. Recently, I was like, talk to your doctors, right? We need the doctors on board, right? This Sharon Riddle, I think is her name, right? The young boy, Landon, is his, right, in Colorado Springs, who's suffering with cancer. And the state won't let him have cannabis, right? They're making him go on chemo. And she moved to Colorado for the medical marijuana because it was healing her son.
Right.
It's just that's reefer madness right
It is.
there.
You're
Like,
absolutely
who do
right.
these
It's still
people
reefer
think that
madness.
they are, that they can inflict that kind of suffering
Right.
on a child for ideology?
Yeah.
Right?
Or I mean, there's still cases around our country where parents will be pulled out of their homes, away from their kids, and put in jail.
Right. Or the kids pulled out of their homes.
Or the kids pulled out of their homes
Right,
because
there's several
the
cases
parents
around.
were growing marijuana or they just were smoking it, depending on where they
Right.
are. And to me, that again, that's reefer madness because that's like saying, hey, a cop happened to see you drinking a beer in your house. They know you have kids. Now you're in jail and you can't take care of your kid.
Right.
anymore.
It's ridiculous. They don't do it for alcohol. They don't do
Yeah.
it for tobacco. These substances are so much more dangerous. But the public has been hoodwinked, and the policies have been written, and people are their hands are tied.
Yeah.
The judges, the police, their hands are tied in most places.
Well, they are, but I mean, honestly, there's the good police out there that are just like, look, I know my hands tied. I know I can choose not to charge this person.
There are, and there's just the opposite. Like, who's it? Mary Beth Buchanan, the district attorney, or where is she? She's the one who's been going after Tommy Chong. In California, right? For years.
Wasting millions of dollars of taxpayer money, by the way.
For what? It's for her own aggrandizement, right? It's just to put a feather in her cap so she can get her career at the expense of not only Mr. Chong, but the entire cannabis community and the rest of the country, which is suffering under prohibition.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't that long ago that you could go to a pharmacy, and as an archaeologist, I can tell you that in the 1800s and early 1900s, you could go to your local pharmacy and get flour and oils. You could get these concentrates that were all so gung-ho, scared of everyone's talking about dabs and how dangerous they are. Dabs were available back then.
Yeah.
They had concentrates.
Yeah.
They
were
might not
knife
have been
hits.
able to.
They were knife hits that basically, or
right.
to the
They
something
might
to
not
that
have made it
extent.
with butane. Instead used,
exactly. It was,
ether and alcohol, but they'd had all of these edibles and tinctures and all of these things that we think are so new and unique were everywhere available at your local corner general store.
No, we're just being reintroduced to them. That's what's happening, and obviously with some new twists, now. But yeah, I think it's interesting. We're just we're heading into a whole new cycle by revisiting all of these old
And
substances.
that's what the momentum is all about. Once we get more states involved, it's just going to grow to a point where they're not going to be able to resist it anymore.
Yeah.
And the they that I'm referring to, the prohibition lobby, if you will, is getting smaller and smaller.
It is, but it's funny because you still hear the same old hits.
Yep.
I mentioned earlier in the show.
They have no new
they don't.
information.
And it's still bad information. Like I mentioned earlier in the show on the article I was reading about Canada and
how
the way they're working on their legal medical system. And there was a statement by one of the doctors in Canada saying, well, we just don't know the harmful effects of marijuana because there hasn't been enough study on it yet.
Are you kidding? That's all they've done
That's
is study
all
the
they've done.
harmful effects. And you know what? They can't find any.
That's exactly it.
There's a whole federal agency that is nothing. Its whole purpose is to run negative studies on cannabis.
Right.
And if you try to get money to do a positive study on cannabis, they say, no, our mission is to only fund negative studies on
and that's
cannabis.
why they get funded on it because it wastes so much time. I mean, they get paid for it. I mean, these guys will be out of job once we get rid of this.
You know what? I had an uncle who had an ex-wife who back in the 80s started an organization called Hugs Not Drugs. And she put on those little coin boxes in all the little convenience stores, made millions of dollars, stole it, left her husband, ran to Hawaii, right? I mean, the war on drugs has perpetrated so much corruption, right? And it's such a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's why it's so entrenched. I mean, the whole prohibition started because the millionaires back in the 30s wanted to find a way to make them even more rich and powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They want to eliminate one of their competing products in hemp.
Competitor. You know what hemp could do?
Oh, of course I do.
Food,
insane.
fuel, plastic, any kind of petroleum product that we make.
Yep.
Which is everything from what goes on your lips and up your anus.
Yep.
Right? To the things that go into your motor engine.
Well, and it's funny we're getting onto this topic right now, and we only have 3 minutes left. But I just watched I watched a couple of videos yesterday, and I check in on this once in a while. But the Pacific Gyro, I think it's called Gyro.
Right, the plastic patch in the middle.
Yeah,
of the
because
ocean.
what there is in the Pacific Ocean, and it's near Midway, which is famous if you're a World War II history buff, the Battle of Midway,
right?
Because it was like a halfway point.
It's halfway between Hawaii and the Philippines.
Exactly, and so in that area, there's this gyro of currents, and the currents are basically swirling this island of plastic. Larger than the state of Texas now.
Yeah, the Great Pacific Plastic Patch, I think they call it.
And what's happening is birds are going, they find this and they think of it as land, and they eat the plastic, and then they go back to feed their babies, and they, like as birds do, and they supposed to send it into the babies' mouths to feed them, and then the babies are dying from malnutrition, and they're cutting open these baby stomachs, and they're just full of plastic.
Yeah.
But this thing, what's happening is plastic doesn't go away. It just breaks down into smaller and smaller particles. And then those particles just go through the ocean it's almost like plankton would, but never going away.
Right, it becomes part of the food chain. But, I just want to interject because very soon none of this will matter. It's all moot because the Pacific Ocean is being poisoned by radiation.
True.
And so soon, I just read something about a guy who sailed from New Zealand to the United States, and he went, or maybe it was Japan. But he reported that basically the ocean is dying, right? There are no birds because there's no fish on the surface anymore. So, they're starting to find the tuna fleets are finding irradiated tuna. They're saying be really careful about eating fish. This is actually a really serious thing, you guys.
It's very serious.
I make light of it to say that the garbage patch doesn't matter because all the radiation is going to kill everything in the ocean anyway. But look at, the salmon runs in the Pacific Northwest are going to suffer, right? All the deep sea fish are going to suffer. The people living on the west coast of the United States and all the way into the interior until they hit the mountains are going to be hit with that radiation.
Yes, but and here's the thing. You keep hearing nuclear energy is clean energy. It is clean energy until something happens to it, and then it's the dirtiest, worst energy ever. Yeah. So, it's kind of a mess. But, to bring back hemp onto this topic for a quick moment, I'm very intrigued in what they could do on the hemp side of things to help irradiate
to eradicate the radiation?
Yeah, because hemp is a phytoremediator where it does soak up radiation. So could it be? I'd love to see
man. We need a big
hempcrete,
floating
a
patch
hempcrete wall that would filter through and maybe sequester all of that radiation. Or now we're looking at the giant hemp sponge.
There you go. That's a great idea.
No, but seriously,
there's
solutions out there, and hemp is amazingly one of those. That's a solution for both of these issues, possibly, because first of all, hemp can be made into plastic that's biodegradable.
Yep.
So there's no reason why we couldn't be taking all of the plastic because that's the reason why this plastic is getting there. It's not biodegradable. There's no way to break it down.
Right. And since the 50s, we've been using plastic in everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Hell, we even eat it, you guys.
Oh, we totally eat it. In fact, every one of us in this. And in this country has higher levels of radiation than we should have in our bodies.
Especially here in Denver because we live a mile higher, which just automatically makes us more irradiated.
Yep. And then we also have higher levels of plastic in our body. And then we go, well, gee, I don't know why more people have cancer out here.
Right. I know why. This is my theory about cancer since you brought it up. It's such a horrible topic. If you look at history, I would like to have a master's student do this for a thesis, right? It would be really easy to do as a master's thesis, right? But it seems to me that the incidence of cancer rate has gone up dramatically since the beginning of the 20th century.
Yes.
And it seems to coincide with the illegalization, with the prohibition of cannabis. Now, we know that cannabis has properties that really curtail cancer.
Yeah,
right?
Very much so.
And so it makes me wonder, cannabis was a regular part of American and world culture. Like I said, you could get it in your local drugstore, and people did. Right?
I think that is a really compelling argument, actually. But, at the same point, the instances of cancer, I think cannabis as a preventative measure is great. But at the same time that happened is also the same time we started polluting our environment on an exponential rate.
Yeah,
so I think it would be hard for them to prove it that way. I'd love to see that study, though.
I'm sure
we
could have a correlation, though. We don't need to prove it. I'm sure we could make a correlation.
I think it's both ways. I think it's just like the drug war itself. I mean, it's like not only can we talk about the cost of the drug war, but we can also talk about the cost or the lost revenue by having the drug war because it hasn't been taxed and legalized. So now you're talking about a double swing there when it comes to that. And I think it could very well be the same kind of correlation. Not only are we polluting our environment, but we took away one of the best substances to fight the cancerous toxins that we're taking into our body on a regular basis.
Well, we're seeing things change.
Yeah.
It's coming. You know, I was told it would never happen in my lifetime.
I know. I just hope it's not too little too late, man. I really do. Especially with the ocean side of things. I don't think people realize how big of a deal this is.
It is a big deal. You know what? Look, I'm a scientist, so I kind of pay attention to these things. There's so many large issues going on with global warming, with water supply, with being able to feed people, with GMOs. So many issues that we are dealing with that, frankly, I have to take an archaeological point of view, which is it's a little harsh, but the Earth does not need humanity.
Oh, not at all.
And we will come and go as every dominant species on this small blue planet has. Yeah. And the Earth will go on without us one way or another.
I agree.
I don't think that we're necessarily going to disappear because I think we can evolve and even evolve beyond this planet. Yeah. Right? But in the larger scheme of things, I always have hope that Mother Earth will live on with or without us.
Oh, I think she will. I mean, I think that's the thing is it drives me crazy when I hear people say save the Earth. I'm like, the Earth's fine. You know,
we're the ones that need saving.
We're a zit that could just be popped off of the Earth's crust, and the Earth is going to be like, whatever, dude.
Right. I don't think people understand that. Most environmentalists, they're not concerned with actually the Earth as a thing in and of itself. No. It's our survival on the planet.
And I think that's the problem is people need to recognize it's not saving the Earth. It's saving humanity. Yeah. It's saving quality of life for humanity. Yeah. And how do we do that?
Yeah. Not to mention every other species on this planet.
Well, and every other species on this planet.
In order to survive. We're all interconnected.
We are interconnected. Of course, I mean, again, the Earth is going to be fine whether all of us are on it or not.
Yep.
You know,
the dinosaurs did not need bumblebees, right? We do. Right? Yeah. But if the bumblebees go, so will we. And
so were there no bumblebees during the dinosaur era?
You know what? I'm not an entomologist nor a paleoentomologist, so I can't really answer that question. But in my studies, I would say no. I don't remember there being a honeybee back in those prehistoric times. No.
But there were flowers.
Flowers, angiosperms are actually a pretty late development.
Really?
Yeah. Angiosperms developed along those are flowering plants.
I want to have a whole other show now just to have this conversation.
They developed alongside of the dinosaurs.
We might have to have you come back
originally, they smelled like rotting flesh, right? The oldest species on the planet still smell like rotting flesh, right?
Is that a protective measure for
No,
them?
It was to attract the meat eaters to pollinate them.
Wow.
And the carrion
man, I really want to. We have to actually end the show just when it's getting interesting to me. I know this has nothing to do with cannabis whatsoever, but if you're smoking cannabis at home, I know you're interested in this right now.
You can always ask me questions about that kind of stuff. You know, I'm
next. Hey, we're gonna have a random archaeology show sometime on the Hemp Connoisseur. And just to have you back on to talk about this because this stuff fascinates me.
Right, anytime, man.
Right on. Well, Citezen Jay, it's been a real pleasure hanging out and talking with you today.
My pleasure, David. And I can't wait to get together outside of the professional realm and hang out.
We'll definitely do so. So again, if you want to check out Citezen Jay's show on iCannabisRadio.com, it's Reefer Madness, 6:30 to 7:30 every Friday. So tomorrow. Yeah. And then also you can check him out at www.mountainhighcolorado.com.
No, not .com, .co for Colorado.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. All right. mountainhighcolorado.co for Colorado. Yeah. And then on YouTube, you can check him out at Citezen Jay 420.
Indeed.
All right. Jay, thanks so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure,
until next time, peace, love, and hempiness.